I want to start today by asking you to do something a little weird.
Okay.
I want you to mentally or literally, if you're at home right now, look at the walls around you.
All right, I'm looking.
Just take a second. Look at what you've hung up, the prints, the paintings, maybe that framed poster you bought 5 years ago that you've, completely stopped noticing.
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of things I've stopped noticing, to be honest.
Right. Now answer this. Are those things there because they make you feel something, or are they just covering a blank space so your place doesn't look like a hospital room?
That is the harsh reality of it, isn't it?
Mm.
I think for most of us, we're just covering voids. We call it decorating, but really, it's just avoiding emptiness.
Exactly. We're doing decoration. But today, we're looking at an artist who says, if you're doing it right, you're not decorating at all. You're seeking depth.
Ah, okay.
We're diving into the portfolio, the philosophy, and the collector feedback of Danish mixed media artist Ea Bodin.
And this is fascinating deep dive because we aren't just looking at pretty pictures. We have her entire portfolio, her artist statements, which are quite philosophical, and some really specific testimonials from collectors.
From all over, right? Denmark, Germany.
And New York, yeah.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out this core concept she talks about. Art in resonance with life. It's a pretty big claim.
It is.
Help me out here. What is Bodin actually trying to do that's different from, just painting a nice landscape to match a sofa?
Well, to get that, we have to look at her tagline. Kunst in Resonanz mit Leben.
Art in resonance with life.
Right. Think about the word resonance.
Hmm.
In physics, it's when one object vibrates at a certain frequency and causes another object to start vibrating too.
Like an opera singer shattering a wine glass.
Hopefully less destructive than that, but yes, the principle is the same. She's claiming her abstract art isn't just a static object on a wall.
It's active.
It's an active object. She believes she encodes an emotion or a state of being into the canvas, and when it's in your room, it vibrates metaphorically and affects your nervous system.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I'm also a little skeptical. That sounds a bit woo-woo.
Yeah.
My painting vibrates.
It does sound a bit esoteric at first.
Like something you'd hear at a wellness retreat,
I get it, but it clicks when you look at the specific themes she lists. This isn't just about good vibes only. She lists emotions, change, the everyday.
Hmm.
But then she lists this German word, Brüchen.
Which means fractures.
Fractures, exactly.
I paused on that too. Because usually if you're trying to sell art for a living room, you want smooth. You want perfect. You don't market fractures.
Exactly. And that's the depth versus decoration. Decoration is the smooth, airbrushed picture of a perfect beach. But Bodin is saying that human life is defined by its fractures, by the breaks, the mentioned parts.
So she puts fractures right next to beauty in her list of themes.
She does. It's about integration. If you're feeling stressed or fragmented, a perfectly fake image can feel alienating.
Like it's a lie.
It feels like a lie. But a piece that has layers and textures and yes, fractures might feel true. It resonates because it's honest about being human.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the difference between a filtered photo and a real portrait. But how does she make these things? The source material says her process is intuitive and body-based.
Right.
What does that actually mean?
Well, body-based usually means the artist isn't just sitting there with a tiny brush, carefully planning every stroke. They're moving. The art is a record of physical, kinetic movement.
So the energy of the movement gets sort of trapped in the paint.
That's the idea. But Bodin adds a specific psychological layer. She writes that her work comes from a place where inner safety, awareness, and expression meet.
Inner safety. That's a very specific starting point.
It is. Think about art history. So much famous art is driven by angst, right? The tortured artist.
Munch's Scream, Van Gogh.
Exactly. We have this idea that great art comes from great pain. But Bodin is doing the opposite. She cultivates a state of inner safety before and during the creation. She's not painting from trauma. She's painting from a place of regulation.
So the theory is if she feels grounded while making it, the painting becomes like a battery for that groundedness.
That's the hypothesis.
Wow.
She says the art unfolds within space. It's designed to be a stabilizing force.
And does it work? Because I can say my cooking is infused with love, but if it tastes burnt, it's still burnt.
Fair point.
I say.
But the sources suggest it's not burnt. There's a line in her philosophy that I think is the key to all of this.
Okay.
She says viewers feel a sense of spaciousness, grounding, or inner clarity because something within them settles.
Settles. I like that word. It feels physical, like dust settling after a storm.
It's a functional word. We're so overstimulated all the time. If an object in your home can help your system settle, that's not just decoration.
That's a tool.
It's a tool. It's
Mhm.
functional well-being technology that just happens to be a painting.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. Resonance, fractures, settling. But since this is an audio deep dive, our listeners can't see the art. What are we actually dealing with physically?
It's mixed media.
Which, for anyone who wasn't paying attention in art class, means...
It just means she's not using one single material. It's not just oil paint. Mixed media involves layering acrylics, pencils, pastels, maybe collage, charcoal. It creates actual physical depth.
Which goes back to the fractures idea. Life has layers. You can see the history in the painting.
Precisely. And she works across a few different formats. There are paintings on canvas, large, medium, small. But she also has these paintings on wood boards.
I noticed those. Paintings on wood feel different somehow. Heavier, more permanent.
They're more organic. Canvas is fabric. It has a bounce. Wood is solid. It resists the brush. It brings a natural grounding element right into the
A
work.
very literal foundation.
It is. If you're trying to create grounding, using a piece of wood is a pretty smart choice.
And then the names of her collections, I'm always curious about titles. Some are what you'd expect, like the Fairy Tale series or the Soul series.
Right. Very introspective. They fit that inner safety vibe.
But then there's one that jumped out at me. Fast Forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one feels like an outlier, doesn't it?
Totally. Soul series sounds like meditation. Fast Forward sounds like chaos, speed. Why would an artist focused on calm name a series Fast Forward?
Well, we don't have the visuals for that specific series, but just thinking about it, if you're exploring resonance with life, you can't ignore speed. Modern life is fast forward.
So maybe that series is about finding the calm inside the speed, the eye of the storm.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
It shows she has range. She isn't just painting the same Zen garden over and over. She's capturing different frequencies of life.
That makes sense. Now, there is one other format she offers that I think is really important for accessibility.
Why?
Because, let's be real, original mixed media art on wood or canvas it's an investment.
For sure. And that financial barrier can keep people from engaging with art at all.
But she offers these hybrid fine art prints. I wasn't totally clear on what makes them hybrid. Is that just a fancy word for a poster?
No, hybrid in this context usually means it's a mix of high-quality reproduction and an original touch from the artist.
So what does that mean?
It starts as a museum-quality print of an original work, but then the artist will go back over it by hand, maybe add a few unique strokes of paint or some gold leaf or texture.
Ah, so no two are exactly alike, even if they're based on the same image.
Exactly. She lists them as framed, numbered, and signed. It creates an entry point for people who can't drop the money for a huge canvas, but still want a piece of this resonance.
It democratizes the philosophy. You don't have to be a millionaire to have inner safety on your wall.
Right. She seems very intentional about removing those kinds of barriers. He wants the work out in the world doing its job.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the people who actually have this work on their walls. Because the artist can say whatever she wants about vibrations. The real test is, does the customer feel it?
The proof of concept.
Right. And these testimonials aren't just, it matches my sofa. They're surprisingly detailed.
They really are. They're actually validating the psychological claims she makes. Let's start with Kurt Pilgaard Carlson from Denmark.
This guy went all in. He bought 3 pieces.
3 pieces, but look at why. He says he chose light colors because they radiate a calm that means a lot to him. And then he says simply, they make us happy.
It sounds so simple, but that's the functional purpose again. He bought them to feel calm in his own home.
And then you have Alexandra Groth from Germany. Her story is even more specific. She found Bodin at Art Week Berlin 2021.
Big event.
Huge. And she bought a large painting called Pegasus. She mentions the density and strength of the colors. But the part that struck me was when she called the paintings true beacons of light, where Lichtblick.
Beacons of light, that's strong.
And she specifically mentions them in the context of the darker months.
Oh, that's so real. If you live in Northern Europe, Denmark, Germany, the winter is long and dark and gray.
It's heavy. Seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. Alexandra is essentially using this art as a countermeasure. She's hanging a source of light and positivity on her wall to combat the darkness outside.
It's like vitamin D for your eyes.
That's a great way to put it. Vitamin D for the soul. It completely validates Bodin's claim that her art unfolds within space.
And then we jump over to New York. Michael Weiner.
Totally different environment. New York is not known for its calm.
Not at all. Michael calls the work visually stunning and emotionally evocative. But he also focuses on something else, the professionalism. He says the process was seamless and she was reliable.
Which might sound boring next to beacons of light, but if you're buying art internationally, that is huge.
Why does that matter so much to the art itself?
Well, it ties back to the safety theme. Think about it. If you buy a painting that's meant to bring you peace, but the shipping was a nightmare, and it arrived 3 weeks late.
The art gets tainted. It carries the baggage of the transaction.
Exactly. By making the process seamless, she protects the emotional integrity of the art. Michael in New York can look at his piece and just feel the good part, not the stress of the logistics.
That's a really profound point. The resonance has to start with the very first email. You can't sell inner peace if your customer service is chaotic.
Precisely. And this all leads to how she structures that whole interaction, because for a lot of people, buying art is intimidating. There's a huge fear of getting it wrong.
What if I hate it? What if my friends laugh at it?
Right. Bodin has built a service model that seems designed to dismantle that anxiety piece by piece.
Well, first, she invites people to her studio. She calls it a quiet atmosphere, but obviously not everyone can fly to Denmark.
So she uses technology.
Video calls. She offers personal video calls to show the artworks.
Which is very modern, but also intimate. You get to see the person behind the art. But there's one policy she has that I think is the ultimate risk remover.
The exchange policy.
Yeah, a 7-day exchange period for gifts.
That is a game changer,
Yeah.
because giving art as a gift is terrifying. It's so subjective.
It is. By offering an exchange, she's basically saying, I want the recipient to have the piece that resonates with them, not just the one you picked. The goal isn't the sale, it's the right match.
It's also confident. She trusts they'll find something they like. She also mentions gifting for businesses, which I found interesting.
Instead of a generic gift basket.
Yeah. It says we value your well-being. We value depth. It elevates the whole relationship.
So we have the philosophy, the technique, the happy collectors, and a low-risk buying process. But who is this actually for? Not everyone loves abstract art.
Some people just want a picture of a dog.
And that's fine, but she actually has a checklist in her source material, a filter.
My art is for you if. Let's run through them. First, you seek depth rather than decoration.
Which brings us right back to our opening question.
Second, you want to shape spaces consciously.
Consciously is the key word. You are curating an atmosphere. You're taking responsibility for how your room makes you feel.
It's active, not passive. And third, you value presence, balance, and calm.
And that's the disqualifier. If you want art that shocks or makes a loud political statement, which is all valid art, this is not for you. Her work is for regulation. It's for bringing you back to center.
It really feels like she's positioning her work as an antidote.
An antidote to what?
To the noise, the screens, the fast-forward life.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Mm.
Our homes have to do a lot of heavy lifting now. They're offices, gyms, sanctuaries. If the walls are just decoration, they aren't helping. But if they're radiating inner safety, they're actively helping us recharge.
It changes what a painting is. It's not just an image, it's an environmental cue.
It's a psychological anchor. Every time you walk past it, your brain registers calm or settling, even if you don't consciously stop to look.
So, to wrap this all up, what's the big takeaway on Ea Bodin?
I think the takeaway is that art is functional. We often treat it as a luxury, something you buy only after the sofa and the rug are in place. But Bodin's work proves that art can be a tool.
The thing that gets you through a dark winter.
Or the thing that helps you settle after a crazy day. You're not just decorating, you're engineering your environment.
You're shaping the space that shapes you.
Exactly, shaping the space that shapes you. That's it. Whether it's a small print or a giant canvas, the mechanism is the same. Resonance.
Well, before we go, I want to leave our listener with a final thought. A bit of homework.
Okay, what do you have in mind?
Go back to that question from the beginning. Ea Bodin says her work helps something inside the viewer settle. So take a hard look at the art on your walls right now and ask yourself, does this make me feel settled? Does it give me energy? Or is it just there?
It's a brave question to ask.
Yeah.
You might realize it's time for a renovation.
You might? But if you want resonance with life, you might have to make some room for it. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
See you next time.